Hello! You know you're starting your day off right when you're watching another insightful episode of Creatives Chat. And if we haven't met yet, I'm Rusty.
And I'm Peter.
He does the hosting, I do the coasting. We're a couple of chatterboxes, and that's what these are, by the way. That's our icon, a chatterbox. So, Peter, who are we chatting with today?
Oh, Rusty, our guest uses tools of art, music, and movement to transform frequencies. Bold, bubbly, with an unquenchable thirst for the magical divine, she makes her rounds on skills via classes, shows, competitions, and streets worldwide. From personal training, dog walking in Seattle, to attending Berklee's College of Music online, to being an amazing artist and musician, she does it all. Our guest is Miss Evie B.
All right, everybody, join us as we briefly introduce our sponsors and then chat about who knows what with Evie B.
Roll the new intro.
Streaming from Retro Earth Studio and brought to you by
wearehistorically.com. Conscious human apparel.
Raise your vibration and energize your life with specialized Fibonacci tuning forks to deepen meditations and empower self-healing. Get your vibrational sound tools for personal enhancement at energybodytuners.com.
And Evie B, welcome to Creatives Chat. Thanks for joining us today. How you doing?
Thank you. Yes, good morning.
How's life been? I mean, you're one of those people that I see is really just up to everything and anything in terms of the creative expressions. I'm loving it.
Thank you. Life has been obviously fine. Life is fine. Life is good. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be alive. I mean, the creation never stops, so I would say it's still evolving, and it's definitely in a transitionary time right now.
Yeah.
But right now I'm spending a lot of time with animals, so I love that. A lot of time with people, and yeah, the wheels, it just keeps turning, and I'm getting a new thing every day, but I like it like that.
That aspect of self-mastery and the fluidity of change. I think that's one thing that not many people really get to fully experience in this life, but you have quite the wheelhouse of trades that you've really kind of mastered. And I think the one that I really want to start off with is the mindset and physical exertion to be an Olympian and the Olympic push in terms of the wrestling and martial arts and the physical
Right.
dedications to that aspect of life.
Right.
What brought you to all that?
Having the aspiration to compete at that level is something that came to me very gently, very subtly in my youth.
Yeah.
And there was never any like overemphasis on it. There was never anything, that felt obsessive.
Yeah.
It's just sort of a place where I felt naturally led. That being said, I'm not attached to competing at the Olympics. It's just something that's sort of fallen into my path. And it's funny that you bring that up first because, it's something that I flip-flop with every day. I feel if you're really competing at that level, that's a big choice that you make in your life.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to entertain it and think of it as a possibility, but at the same time, you also really have to let that go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really have like a definite answer on that one, but it's been fun thinking that it's a possibility and showing up as if it is a possibility for me. And we'll see what's in the works. So
I love it.
yeah.
Well, it's all about the authenticity and simply diving deep into that pure expression of a real, genuine human experience. And I think that's something that even just getting yourself to that point and precipice of entertaining, like, why not me, is
Yeah, why
something that
not?
I feel so many people that they don't give themselves the freedom and opportunity to just go experiment and
Or we already have
experience.
that answer. Why not me? Oh, because I'm too slow. Oh, because I get tired when I'm more tired faster than other people. We have all these reasons already, and it's almost like a process of shutting that all off and becoming a new person.
Mm,
I will not say that I'm a master in any means, but I will say that I'm a student on that path of dropping everything and sort of reimagining where I'm going.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's beautifully said. And in that same expression of really dropping away and that surrender, how does that help you in the creative process of music and art and just the
Well,
life?
it's so cool to have so many outlets. I would
Yeah.
say with music, it's the same as any other art.
Mm,
You need to put yourself in practice. You need to be open to producing pieces that others might not find appealing or might not, be your best work, but you just need to put in that practice and show up and see what's something new, what's something that's coming from my soul that I'm not, you know, forcing. Then comes the practice. Once you finally feel something that, oh, this actually could be good, then you go and you put in the time to study the techniques of people that came before us, people that are doing it now,
yeah.
etc. And then, it's a lot of just believing in yourself and what came out in that original idea, and then loving yourself enough to invest in that and do it and, step more into that role. Um, and ultimately, it's all up to you what you want to invest in, right?
Yeah.
We make a lot of mistakes with what we invest in sometimes, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
didn't go the way that I planned, but at the same time, it's all just for the soul's evolution journey. You're here, so you can never really go wrong by investing in yourself, is what I say.
100%. That's a beautiful way to put it. And the soul's evolution here. I love that. But that's the thing. It's, we learn so much. I've found, at least my dance of life has often been what not to do. So it's like you learn this and you go through this experience. I'm like, no, that's not it. That's not it. Just jumping
Mm-hmm.
around from those quote unquote shortcomings and failures, and really just more so refining the character and peeling those layers back, just revealing a different perspective and guiding it deeper and deeper into the heart. I find that giving yourself that chance just to love yourself and put it in that aspect of creativity is a beautiful expression of it.
Yeah, I like the way you said that, guiding it into the heart. It's like starting something, working on it, and then you might notice that certain doors are now opening up for you. Or you might notice that you're attracting a certain negative consequence that you don't like. Okay, well, that's your heart speaking as well.
Exactly.
Do you have the strength to face those challenges and let them change you?
Mm, yeah. Ooh, the willingness to adapt. And that's one of those things that I'm very curious about, because you're quite the multi-talented, I would say, like musician, from like the singer and songwriter and the aspects of all the different music instruments I've seen you play,
Right.
from what I've checked out. And when did you get into that kind of, I want to do it all in music type of
It's
mindset?
it's never even been like that because,
What?
well, you got to understand, if I look back on my life, which I try not to do too much, if I look back, especially with around music instruction,
Mm,
all I hear still to this day is everyone who's telling me not to do it all, that doing it all is actually stunting my performance, that I should focus on one thing. And it's just never been like that to me. Like, oh, I want to be able to do everything or be a one-man show or anything like that. Like, I do love working with people, but perhaps
hmm.
the ability to, instead of just, for instance, being a singer, the ability to set up the whole platform for that voice, that lyric, that whatever is trying to, that message to be conveyed, setting up a whole atmosphere to then relay the message. So it's like creating a whole nother world. So how do you do that? You know, I just try new things. What do we have in music? What tools do we have to work with? And I just try and unlimit myself as much as possible. And I might not call myself, for instance, a drummer or a whatever, but you know,
you'll do it. You get it done.
That doesn't mean I can't put drumsticks in my hand and exactly, bang on some stuff and then, you know, figure it out. Like we can learn all of these aspects and you might not be the best at it at first, but that doesn't mean that you can't practice. So understanding how music works. Yeah. Which, you know, let's not get into that right now. I could talk for hours about that, but understanding that, we're creating this new world here for then something grand to rise up out of, or to convey a whole dimension here that's different from what we see in front of us. You know, you can't just do that with one instrument. You need to, you know, dissolve the boundaries of that and let yourself fill up the space as much as possible when creating.
I love that. And I think that's one of the things that is really a misconception that we have in society, and it pushes a lot of people down a confined path of, you know, whatever judgment and limitations they set on themselves, but that whole, you have to just do one thing. And we always hear that statement. It's, you know, jack of trades is a master of none. And then they leave the rest of the quote out because it's really powerful, because a jack of trades is a master of none, but it's still better than a master of one. And it's that aspect of really using those different experiences and modalities of expression to level yourself up and to expand into a new level of like expression. And that's why I love what you said, the unlimit yourself. Unlimiting ourselves is one of those concepts that people naturally avoid. You know, I feel like most conditionings, we jump to the limitations first of why can't we do this, and the instant judgments and assumptions, and it leads us into this path of just unhappiness. So when you can tap into it musically and really have a physical expression of just like, why not? Let's do it up. That's the beauty of it. And I think that's one of the things that I got to hear in I believe it's the Binary Lovers. Listen to that. And then it was I actually really liked it. The parallel with that, the layers I heard on that one and the vocals with the little teaser we got for Imagination. I was just like, oh snap, she's got layers, yo. Like and for me, that's what I like to pick up on, like musically. Cause I'm like, oh, that's the vibe.
So, you know, Sultry is two people.
Yeah.
Wow, so you really went and you looked up and you looked at everything. I like that.
Don't come on a Cribs chat unprepared.
Well, of course, but you know, we could be more surface level about it. I mean, there's certain things you really have to look for, because the awesome part about Sultry is it's probably one of the best pieces of art that I've ever put out, but it's not, my name's not really attached to it in the same way that, you know, my individually released music is. Sultry definitely had a lot of success, but I also think it's a message that fell on deaf ears. And Jazz Ray, my counterpart, and I sort of just let it. We did it up when it was out. We toured it around. We did so much with it, and then we just let it go. It was.
I could hear the influence in the Binary Lovers and the Imagination, the parallel. But again, it was one of those aspects. I'm like, oh, it's not only the evolution of the sound of it, you know, but get the whoop whoop.
Yeah, we got the sirens going.
Got to get a little excitement in there.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of those things too, where it's just to even see the evolution of your sound and where you've taken the direction of things is really cool just to see, from kind of like the early electric funk pop stuff to, I don't know, how would you even describe your sound now? Because it's so versatile.
It is. I would say what I'm aiming for most with my music these days is conveying hope, conveying personal power, and inspiring personal power for all of the individuals, sovereign beings listening. And I mean, I always have to make it feel good when you listen to it. You just want to feel good. It's like being on a date, you know. That's kind of how I see making music, is like, we can't be corny about this. Like, it has to be sort of this tantric process of getting in the flow. And definitely my music gets described as sensual sometimes, or provocative for that reason, because there's really a sexual element to making and designing music. That being said, with contrast in all things, I try and be mindful of the shadow of my music, and then while that's there, at the same time give you something totally angelic and that is designed to take you into the higher realms.
Yeah, that ethereal nature.
Definitely, as either high in the sky or way down at the bottom of the ocean, there's something mystical and magical there. So I would say, depending on what I'm inspired by, which here in the Pacific Northwest, it's everything. I mean, it's all around us. The most beautiful themes that if you focus upon them and let them teach you, you really can go there to hear the message of the planet. So I guess I'm trying to bring that back into music in like a chill, fun way, and like sneak it in there.
I like that. I like that a lot. It's the tantric aspect of intentional based, really consciously created sounds and lyrics to really paint a picture. And ultimately, when you're coming and singing from the flow and the heart, you feel it through the sound, regardless of what you're doing. So the fact that
that's something you realize about your power as a musician too. And like, I know that even if I just pick the simplest sentence or statement, I know that my soul's gonna, bring it to the sound good, feel good. It hits hard. Yeah. So you don't really worry about that kind of thing. You just trust yourself. And then, I'm someone who spends time thinking about the negative consequence of my musical impact. So not too much. I mean, we can't
dwell on such things.
Exactly. You can't go too far with that. You kind of have to just let it go, or else you'll never create anything, right?
Yeah.
So you just have to, sometimes you have to say, okay, well, gotta make music. I'm making music, but maybe I'm going through a personal version of hell right now. So, I'm not going to go into the music studio and pay $1,000 to produce a couple tracks or whatever. At this time, I'll kind of do it low key, and then maybe I'll release it to a couple people to kind of say that, hey, I'm relevant. This is what I'm doing. But then once our environment shifts and it's time for us to actually produce something, great. I've already been practicing. I know exactly how to do this. And, you need to be like oiled up, ready to go. And then opportunity comes, and then that's when that's when it's really fun. And then the money comes at that point. So you just have to be patient. There's a lot of stuff that's just not, other people do not want to look at. We're transmuting pain here. We're transforming painful emotions and experiences here that it's not pretty to look at until a certain point of the creation of the pearl, for instance, right inside a an oyster. It starts as a grain of sand, and then, after so many years, finally it's pretty enough that we can take it out and sell it.
It's that gradual refinement process that
Yes.
in order to really get there to the end, it just takes that consistency to keep doing it. It doesn't matter where it's going. It's just to keep efforting and putting in that aspect of preparation. And then the manifestations happen. And then the sweet, dope things of life just opening doorways up. And it's
then, wow, life is fun again. Yeah.
Right. It's how much we say yes to it and how much we say yes to ourselves. And I think that's something, again, that it takes a different kind of perspective that a lot of people don't give themselves that permission. I mean, it comes back to that sense of just giving yourself the permission to really just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of the musical journey for yourself, when did it start? When was your musical, like, oh, this is my, I guess you'd say, this is one of my ways I know I want to express myself. When did that click?
I used it as a therapeutic tool throughout my youth. As I transitioned from a youth into a young adult, I picked up the tenor sax at a certain transitional point that was very difficult in my life, and I started having the most fun of my life and evolving so much. And that was in 2014.
Wow.
And I think I was 18, 19 years old.
Wow.
So that's when I started believing in myself about getting up on stage. I started here in Seattle. I was in college at the time, and I just came for a summer break, but then I was playing sax so much, and I got a job in a hospital, which is something I was enjoying at the time. And I just didn't go back to school that year. And I just played music all over Seattle. And then I let that take me all around the Northern Hemisphere for the next, until now, pretty much. I just let it roll. And yeah, I've gone back to school since then a couple different times, but that's really when I started stepping up on stage and realizing that I could be, and then I became.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Times I could be, and then I became. Ooh. And so often do we not give ourselves that opportunity to experience that moment where it goes, oh, we can do this.
Yeah.
And then it just refuels us. And that's a different aspect of even just musical expression and being on stage, when you can play something with such heart-based intentions and you see others like resonate to it. That's a different type of satisfaction that.
Oh yeah. Nothing ever compares to how good that feels. And I used to tell myself, here's a little secret. I used to tell myself that I'm such a special being that I never felt love from any of my relationships in the way that I deserve until I was up on stage, giving the message, playing it out, singing it, whatever, with my band, making it happen. And I've never received that kind of love, like after the show or during the show even, you know.
Yeah.
But I would just tell myself I'm never going to feel loved like I deserve unless I'm up on stage and I'm kind of creating this world for people to feel good inside of. And then that's where the reward comes for me. That's sort of an old thought. That's sort of an old, I don't feel that way necessarily anymore in the same way, but it's definitely special. And but you can't attach your ego to that too much either.
Yeah, right.
Because then when the shows get canceled, or even the next couple days after the show, what do you have? Nothing. That's something you have to learn how to do too when you play on stage or you speak with a large amount of people and everyone's so happy and loves you. And then, you go home and you go to bed, and the next morning you just feel like an empty shell.
Yeah.
And maybe there's pictures and maybe a couple, you get a couple messages or letters come in about how awesome it was. But other than that, that moment is gone.
Yeah.
And so
tour withdrawal is real.
Exactly. It can become like an addiction for sure. So I think at that point, once I was really having some big successes musically and therefore financially, I realized I was hitting a wall, and I needed to kind of come up with another plan to sustain myself emotionally. And otherwise you're just playing, you're like, why, what's in it for me? Or, why I feel so bad after I made so many people feel so good. I kind of stepped back from being front and center stage for a while to kind of figure out those questions. And then another evolution began that I could never have imagined for myself. And here we are.
Another evolution. What a teaser. In terms of that recognition of the kind of how to transcend that and transmute those experiences into the kind of new unfoldment, what brought about that catalyst or that inspiration?
Maybe just a subtle onset of feeling not elated anymore. And also having the microphone in my face and really just thinking, what do I want to say? For instance, a hip hop jam. Like, I would have no problem playing all the songs that were popular from history, and I would have no problem setting up the whole ambiance, and you got the bass and you got the drums, and I could play the sax and you don't hear any words, but when the microphone comes, I don't know what to say in a freestyle sort of setting. So that was kind of an indicator to me that there's a block, obviously, of feeling disingenuine, not genuine.
Yeah.
It was definitely a subtle thing. And then little things started to happen to me, like little slanders, little things that weren't true that got public, and all of a sudden people are calling me and cussing me out on the phone. I don't even know what was said or what happened or anything. Just, we're able to like resolve those issues and move past. But those instances of just like feeling like, what did I do to deserve that? Or why, anything other than great, which kind of started happening like more and more. Which of course we all deal with. And when you reach like a certain level, of course, you're going to experience challenging and backlash, and maybe people that misplace their, whatever I'm stirring up in people. They feel comfortable with me because I'm such an open person to, take that on me or start something big. So I feel like I just, not in a way that was necessarily overly fearful, but I just kind of step back. I mean, when we have these relationships with people, we love the people, we love what's happening, but it doesn't feel good. We just step way back, right? I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel seen. Step back. For me, I'm one of those people that is like, okay, if I'm stepping back, like, I'm gone. Like, I'm out. Unfortunately, you're not going to hear from me for a very long time, probably. So, but you'll see me again. Like, I'll be back, but then you're going to know just who I am and what you can and cannot say to me. So the
boundaries of it. And I find that's the the interesting aspect of all of that in terms of the interactions of it. Because for me, I find it's that life pattern or sign. Whenever there's something that we're not fully expressing of our truth, things just keep kind of getting thrown in our face to kind of point us towards that authentic expression of ourselves. And if we continue to kind of resist it and don't want to reveal the truth or talk about ourselves, there's always going to be that misinterpretation and projections put on by others. And that's one of those things, like, it's everybody, we all experience this, but how many of us are really going to take at that time to give ourselves the space to kind of contract and go back in and really be like, no, I need to disconnect and disengage and really analyze this. That's the type of introspection that I find is a very intriguing point, because it shows the inquisitive mind of someone who really wants to just know more. So in that curiosity and really search for their own truth.
Sure. I could have spent all that time fighting back and oh, what's the argument? Oh no, that's wrong because this, and but I just didn't really want to, and I haven't even thought about any of that stuff in years and years and years. I mean, often we would dwell on these things, right? But I just totally walked away and totally walked in another direction.
That pivot, that complete pivot, it can be very terrifying for many people.
There's nothing to lose. There is never anything. There's nothing to lose. When I stepped on stage playing the sax, I was, like I said, 18 and 19. I know that this is not it for me. I know that this is not all. Yeah. I'm just having fun. It's like playing a pickup game of basketball. Like, I just stepped onto the court. I'm like, hey, who wants to play? And then, everyone wanted to play. And I had the energy for it. But at the same time, when you play a pickup game of basketball, you usually are meeting new people. You don't know who they are. You don't know anything about them. So other than what you see and what you experience in that moment. And so for me, it was never it. And music will always be with me. Music is what I'm here for. Yeah. I'll just say that if anyone has any questions, but that is why I'm here. And it'll never leave me, but we just have to release. We just have to release it. Yeah. Let it go. It'll come back. Like, you just can't have fear about that. And 100%. If I had clung to that situation, it would have disfigured me. Yeah.
Another form of self-sabotage, harming the future self, and just the avenue the heart knew it didn't want to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see right there, even just being able to navigate this beautiful dance of life. It's always interesting how people come about that recognition of just allowing themselves to drop things. Because when you can really drop things that don't serve you, oh, what a powerful tool that is, just to navigate life's juiciness.
Truly. And then you're a new person. A couple months later, you're a totally new person.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, and your evolution's continuing, even especially with the musical aspects. So I just want to say congratulations on the acceptance for music school Berkeley. That's super cool. That's awesome.
Thank you.
What was that next pivot? When were you just like, yeah, let's do it? Why not?
Pretty much, dude. I've been trying to go back to school for a while. Okay. Yeah. I've had 6 years in college, and I'm so close to finishing my Bachelor's of Science in the field of biology.
There you go. Whoop, whoop. That little bio BA.
Thank you. Yes. A large ratio of the music people that I know went to that school. So it was just popping up for me. And I'm like, sure, I'll just do it. And it was just like that. They were calling me immediately and saying, well, okay, we'll let you know if you're accepted in 2 weeks or whatever. And then, you have to go, we sent your letter, you have to go on this private email and you'll see if you're accepted or not. I'm like, okay, I go in there. I got the email. I'm like, why didn't they just tell me?
Right.
It's right there. Like, So, like, okay. And then all that buildup, if you didn't get in, maybe they're just trying to make people feel either really good or who knows. It's a big school, So, went in. Oh, you're accepted. They called me back like they're like, you saw it, right? Okay, so here's what we got to talk about.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, I need this opportunity, and I need to make better tracks, and I need to make more money, and so here we go. Let's do this. Why not? And then there's no reason why not. It's just supposed to do it. Okay, I'm gonna do it. So it's exciting, but
definitely.
It's gonna be fun.
It's a new phase, and that's the aspect of really just saying yes to life and just seeing what opportunities unfold. And that's the doorways of just grace that we get when we overcome that initial fear and resistance towards ourselves of getting a new experience like that. And I find it fascinating when all these things line up, though. It's like, because I always ask myself in certain situations of like, meeting certain mentors, having certain job opportunities, it's like, would I really have been able to optimize that experience if I really got it when I wanted it? Exactly. Instantly you're just like, hard no.
And you have to realize that where's your skills at right this moment. A lot of us musicians want a record deal. Okay, well, if they said, hey, tomorrow, come in and let's make something. Okay, well, are you ready? That's gonna be when you record music, especially when you're working with a big production, you can't go back and say, oh, I wish I took better care of my voice, or I wish I was practicing more so I could play quicker and more precisely and stuff like that. Like, no, you have to be there. You have to be ready for it. You have to be strong enough to catch the ball when it comes to you.
Oh, yeah. Interesting phase of it.
Take some honesty and looking at yourself, which is not comfortable, but it's not that uncomfortable too. So
just depends how you look at it, right? Like, is it really more uncomfortable than knowingly experiencing the same things over and over again of your suffering? Right? Like, it's always so trippy when we think about it. It's like just the things that we really utilize to hold us back or liberate ourselves like that. And that's the thing, though, is, from all the different projects and things you've done, there seems to just be like a dance about you that you just give yourself that just willingness to just express yourself in your authentic fashion. And I think that's why I find that people that are really tapped into their own inner truth like that are really coming into like everything's lining up at once, like right at all these wild times these past few months of everyone just kind of getting activated, so to speak, where it's just like, the time is now to kind of lead that new wave of, as I see the societal shift of us entering into this era of a society based on authenticity and genuineness and sincerity and compassion versus all the old stuff of just like the lower level, like the lower centers of just like expression and disconnect. So I don't know. I'm curious, like, do you find yourself activated and just getting going right now?
I'm someone who, when everyone else is sitting down, I'm running hard. I'm not even gonna get into how much I've been doing. Okay. I don't need to say it. And the thing is, I don't want to say it because when it's when the time is here, y'all gonna see what's up. And so, but funny that you said activated just now in the last couple months, because truthfully, I mean, here we are in December at the end of 2021, and last couple months for me have been rainy, wet, cold, hard, exhausting.
Oof.
I have avoided depression, but it has made me a cold and tough person.
Yeah.
That has been my last couple months. But through that, I busted out a certification that I've been putting off for like 4 years now, and got a new job in a field that I have always thought that I could work, but never really truly stepped into, and it just kind of landed in my lap, and it just happened. And so definitely got activated in a way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's the spiritual paradox. Everyone always thinks it's hugs and kisses. It's like, Spirit's like, sorry, fam. That's not how we're doing this today.
Spirit's like, you're welcome for making you angry enough to slaughter the beast that I'm about to, put it in front of you.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Oh, I resonate with that heavily, especially.
You're welcome for, making you into an absolute animal. You're welcome. Right. And, you just have to say thank you. And, wasn't fun, but you're right. I'm like, okay, I'm good now. Like, okay, let's go.
It's level up. You're like, okay, I survived. What's next? And that's the thing too, is you step into that next round of, okay, here's a nice little reward. Life's like,
please,
here's the new door.
Soon, please. It's been a while for me.
And then we get to experiment what we've learned, and we get to practice and play with it. And that's the cool stuff when we say yes. And just seeing yourself getting through that and transmuting that, the suffering, and turning that pain into a power now, and having another outlet of expression, that's the coolest aspect. Because fitness is definitely one of those things where when you can unlock someone's physical potential, it's especially when you have that understanding of the inner working, it's just that inner space just unfolds and transforms the external. And then they see it, you see it. And then it's just that vibe where you're like, oh yeah, people getting yoked. Like, let's go.
Such a interplay. Beneficial for everyone.
Yeah. And the mutual healing. And that's the beauty of it. And there's nothing better than, I guess you would say, is exchanging those puzzle pieces and being able to impact someone's life and have it impact yours like that.
Yes. I mean, unless we're hiding inside all day with no context or anything like that, how much can you grow when you're just playing ping pong against the wall with yourself? Like, not very much, right? But if you have other people in the mix, which we are a community, we are not separate in the ways that we like to, portray.
Yeah.
We do need each other. And when our neighbor wins, we win too. That's what I feel like we're having to now remember again.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And helping our neighbors win will help us as well.
Yeah.
Simple concept, but definitely, I know some people that need a reminder, myself included. I mean, all of us, right? Yeah.
Well, and that's the unfortunate aspect of the unfortunate but very fortunate opportunity that we have because of it in the society that we all grew up in. And it's that light of separation and, to each their own, a dog-eat-dog world. I remember hearing all those things growing up.
And take what you have and don't let it go. You need to save that for yourself.
Yeah. And it's such a false way of living to the hearts that have always been present within us. And I think that's the cool thing is, especially bringing it back to the intention-based aspect of creative expression, being able to evoke like the union and the unity aspects and showing people their own unique light. That's something that's really special. And being able to tap into that is a gift. So for yourself, expressing such a love and such a forward-thinking evolutionary kind of like vibe, what's your main inspiration for your drive to actually spread that message of hope and liberation, I would say, and coming home to Mother Gaia?
Well, I think we get lost in our personal experiences sometimes, but ultimately, when I'm still and when I'm listening to the voices of this place that we are in, I hear cries for help.
Yeah.
So for me, there can never really truly be peace in my life. And we must experience joy. We must experience happiness in our lives. And, you know, we all can develop our own personal practices to say, okay, you know, I need to be happy 5 times today. You know, let me not trick myself into it, but let me set myself up here for something good, right? But honestly, truly, I feel and I hear what needs to be done. And that's, I would say, just that's my motivation, is working with the planet and all its inhabitants, because we need some, you know, some TLC right now. And so it's like setting myself up with my science degree, setting myself up with unlimited artistic musical production tools, setting myself up with in a position, taking a powerful stance personally, then in order to be working with my ultimate mission here on this planet in this lifetime as Eve Barrington. And part of that is keeping myself healthy, keeping myself happy. And that's something that I'm realizing now in my life more than ever, and trying to really have some fun these days and take my life to new heights. But, you know, yeah, you can never forget, just because it's in the stillness, it's in every moment, it's in my physical condition, it's in the condition of my voice, of the things that I say, do. Every action that I make is a reflection of what's going on around us. And when I really truly look at myself, I recognize that what's around me needs my attention.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. I love it. I love it.
That was good. That was good. Thank you for asking that.
Well, it's an important one, because I think that's one of the misinterpretations of, you know, self-mastery or bettering your life or going through this human expression, is that it's a process of self-love. And until we are radiating our own light, we're never able to really fill up another's cup. You know, we're always just trying to receive and receive. And it's a dance to really figure that out and really recognize what resonates with our heart and what is that mission. And once we find it and you can like invest into it, it's like, oh, then you can really see yourself unfolding every slice of now, you know, into that being that, you know, is always present, that potential that's always there. It's just unlocking more doors once you kind of have assimilated enough of the knowledge into wisdom, right?
Right.
And Evie B, thank you so much. I'm going to have you stick around for the after show convo. And for our listeners, thanks for tapping in. Take care. Roll the outro.
Thanks again to our sponsors for making this show possible. Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Level up your life and raise your vibration with specialized Fibonacci tuning forks. Get your vibrational sound tools for your personal enhancement at energybodytuners.com.
Another creative art production by Retro Earth Studio.
All the road stuff hit. Lockdowns, things.
Yeah. So we're at the end of 2020. Stuff has been going down. Stuff was going down in March.
Yeah.
I hopped on my bicycle and I wanted to be alone. I said, I'm biking across the country. So that's what I did. And I got accepted to that school. Like I said, I've been trying to go back to school for years. I found a school, but I wanted to do sports because after music, I got more into sports and believing in myself in another way. So I did that and I rode and I got to Gaffney, South Carolina, and I went to school. But they pushed off all of the athletics. So with that came shutting down of the practice centers, shutting down of the physical therapist office, shutting down the gym access for sometimes a whole week. You know, everything about that. turned me off of that school, and I don't want to graduate from there. So I've been looking for a new school from where I can graduate with my bachelor's of science in the field of biology.
That concludes this episode of Creatives Chat. Thank you for watching our show. Click the bell button to get notified of future episodes. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
I was at a point sort of thing. I'm like, what do I have to lose?
All is divine timing.
That's okay.